On the Schwerkolt Cottage Reserve, there are several other buildings of interest apart from the cottage. The buildings are the barn, erected in 1965 as part of the cottage restoration, the blacksmith shop or smithy, erected in 1970, the wine cellar, which was built in the 1870s and restored in 1973, and the replica smokehouse that was built in 1975. As part of the restoration of the cottage, a post and rail fence was erected and a new garden planted in the style of the 1800s. To construct the post and rail fence, over 70 trees were felled at Yarra Junction in order to make the 52 post and 100 plus rails. This article from the Nunawading Gazette of 15th September 1965 identifies the fence builders as Jim Boland, Bert Connolly, Glenn Allen, and Les Connolly. The barn is believed to have been built in the 1860s and was donated by the Ansell family of Olinda. During 1964 to 65, it was dismantled and transported to the Schwerkolt site, where it was re-erected by members of the Nunawading Apex Club. The Apex Club annual report for 1965 identifies that 124.5 volunteer hours were spent on the project. The barn is an authentic slab construction, with each of the walls formed by sliding a slab of timber, raised to the vertical, between a pair of horizontal logs, one at the top and one at the bottom. Cleats mounted to the logs enabled the slabs to slide into place between them. This construction method reduced the use of nails, which were made by hand and were expensive. The hinges on the double-hung door, also known as a Dutch door or stable door, are made from hand-forged horseshoes. Each hinge consists of one large and one smaller horseshoe, and there are 4 pairs of hinges on the barn. The barn is the home for a late 1880s buggy made by Thomas Crane of Kilmore, together with pieces of harness purchased from the estate of J. Winter of Doncaster. The buggy can just be seen in the rear of the photo. The barn also holds various pieces of farming equipment. Over the years, the Banksia rose had grown so much that it had significantly impacted the structure of the barn. It was severely pruned in 2021 in order to protect the roof and end wall of the barn. A bonus of the pruning is that the smithy is now visible from the cottage. The blacksmith shop or smithy was the next building to be added and is of the same vintage as the cottage and barn. The smithy was re-erected from old adzed timbers found lying in a paddock in the Dandenong Ranges by Mr. George Cox, who was a member of the original committee tasked with furnishing of the cottage. With the aid of the Nunawading Apex Club, he and a local builder employed by the council erected the building. The site was selected because remains of a building were found in the subsoil. The Schwerkolt property was unusual as it did not have a smithy, which was a feature of many 19th century farms. Having a smithy enabled farmers to attend to simple repairs themselves, and also provided a workplace for the itinerant blacksmiths who regularly visited rural properties. In addition to shoeing horses, these blacksmiths were highly skilled tradesmen who could make and repair household items as well as farm equipment. The smithy stands directly behind the barn and is of a similar slab construction. It is fitted out in the manner of an authentic 19th century blacksmith's workshop. Jack Collins, a smithy from Ballarat Goldfields Village, set up the interior furnace and tools. The smithy was officially opened in September 1970 by the member for Mitcham, Ms. Dorothy Goebel. Jack Collins was operating the forge on the day of the opening. For many years, the forge was used for demonstrations by skilled blacksmiths at celebrations such as wisteria parties and heritage days. The fact that August Schwerkolt made wine on the property was known because he won a prize for the best colonial wine at an international wine competition in Amsterdam in 1882. The location of August's wine cellar was marked only by a small depression, which had been used as a rubbish dump in the years following the collapse of the cellar roof. The front of the cellar collapsed because the supporting timbers were burnt in the Black Saturday bushfires of 1905. In October 1964, whilst playing around the ruins of the cellar, 11-year-old twins Vilya and Heidi Pank and their friend Susan Hughes, aged 12, discovered an old grenade and decided to play war games with it for about 15 minutes. The girls took the grenade home, and the twins' father, Mr. Heino Pank, recognised the grenade when he found the girls playing with it. Police were called, and a thorough search of the caved-in cellar failed to locate any other weapons. Army experts later confirmed that the hand grenade was live and highly dangerous. In 1973, as part of an unemployment relief package, Nunawading Council engaged a small group of men under the supervision of Ray Williamson to undertake the restoration of the cellar. As the clearing progressed, the workers engaged in the project were delighted to discover that only part of the structure had subsided, and that the wine cellar actually extended 60 feet into the hillside, which was further than previously thought. The cellar probably consisted of 3 compartments opening into each other. The interior of the cellar was found to be in fairly good condition, with the stone lining of the cellar walls still intact. A wine company, S. Wynne & Co., provided winemaking equipment for the refitting of the cellar, and Mr. Grace, of Vermont Winery, helped to ensure the authenticity in the reconstruction of the cellar. The equipment is of the type that would have been used by August Schwerkolt. The cellar was opened to the public by the Mayor of Nunawading, Councillor Frank Taylor, on 22nd July 1973. The fact that there was a smokehouse on the site was known, but there was no actual evidence of what it looked like. The idea for it came from Jean Field and her husband, who had seen smokehouse structures whilst travelling in America in 1973. It is clear from these 2 photos that the original smokehouse and the reconstructed smokehouse are remarkably similar. In 1975, the Nunawading Council and Committee of Management began work on the construction of the smokehouse. The work was undertaken by stonemason Ray Williamson, who constructed the smokehouse using stone from the Mullamullum Creek. He included a period hearth and, to celebrate the completion of the project, a ham was ceremoniously smoked. When early photographs of August Schwerkolt's smokehouse were donated to the Historical Society in 1975 by Rosalie Schwerkolt Wayland, who is his great-granddaughter, it was found that the reconstructed smokehouse bears a striking resemblance to the original one. The smokehouse stood next to the wooden farmhouse that was built after the 1905 bushfires destroyed the original stone house. The picture on the left shows the smokehouse was still complete in the early 1900s. However, the photo on the right shows that by the 1940s, the smokehouse had deteriorated significantly and only the bottom section remained. The building of the smokehouse completed the Schwerkolt Cottage Outbuildings. However, building on the property was not yet finished. In 1977, the Nunawading Council erected the museum, whose external appearance is very much in keeping with that of the original cottage, and, in 2007, the orchard machinery shed was built to house the Society's collection of orcharding equipment. These photos show the museum and orchard shed as they are today. Photographs and information used in this presentation are from the collection of the Whitehorse Historical Society, together with additional historical information provided by Rosalie Schwerkolt Wayland and Mr. George Cox. Information was sourced from the Whitehorse Historical Society publication, Schwerkolt Cottage and Museum, The Legacy of Johann August Schwerkolt, Pioneer, written by Ted Arrowsmith. This publication is available for purchase from the museum or from the Society.